Jeff, if we can start where it all began with Kush, back in 1974 when you drew 45,000 fans to a performance at Sunbury Pop Festival. Did that shock you at the time?
Well, I guess that was really the inaugural outside rock concert in Australia. That following Woodstock in America in 1969, I think Australia had to get on board like the rest of the world. Of course, since then there's been so many huge outside concerts that usually go for a minimum of 3 days and up to 10 days. And it shocked me in that it had never happened before, so nobody really knew what to expect.
Kush was such an amazing band for its time, and I was just listening again to the music on YouTube, and it still stands up so well. You've always been known as a flamboyant and controversial entertainer, partly because you obviously wanted to be that with the makeup, with the clothes that you were wearing. Why that image?
Well, I don't even consider it's an image. That's just who I am. I'm still the same now. Whatever I wear is whatever I wear, and that's really who I am. I've always worn makeup. I went to Swinburne Art College where I used to experiment with makeup at school, and also I used to design all my own clothes. So I've always been into the fashion thing and makeup, and I don't know why I started doing that. And, wearing the skimpy little leotards that I was wearing on Countdown and all those television shows was just really an extension of who I am.
Are you still that 60-kilo teetotaling vegetarian sportsman that I've read about?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, actually, I weighed myself this morning. I'm exactly 60. I seem to be, doesn't matter what I eat. But, like I'm vegan, so I don't think I'm ever going to put on any weight. And also, because I play competition cricket and tennis, I'm very, very active. I jog every day as well. Not because I want, I'm trying to prove anything. That's just what I've always done all my life. I've always played sport. When I was going to Canterbury State School there in Melbourne, I was captain of all the sporting teams: cricket, football, basketball, hockey, all of those sports. Outside of sport and music, I don't really have a life. I've remained a bachelor all my life because every time I've had a partner, it's always slowed me down. So I really prefer just to live a life of solitude, I guess.
Could we just go through the tributes that you've been doing to David Bowie? And I believe you actually lived next door to Bowie for some years.
Yeah, I lived around the corner for 10 years, unwittingly next door to David Bowie. When I lived in London during the 80s, so when I came back to Australia, a couple of guys stopped me in the street one day, and English guys, and they said, "Hey, you're that singer, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Oh, do you want to come and have a coffee with David?" And I said, "Who's David?" And they said, "Oh, David Bowie. He just lives up the road there." And I said, "Oh, I live next door to him." I didn't even know. He used to come to my concerts in London. I was fairly famous for a couple of seconds in London. I recorded 6 albums over there, and I had a big hit with my first record. And I was doing this club in the West End called the Embassy Club. And one night I was performing there. The manager came up and they said, "David Bowie wants to meet you." So I went back into the office, and there was David. So he wanted to meet me before I wanted to meet him. Last year, a promoter came up to me and he had a couple of American guys from Las Vegas, a guy who does Rod Stewart and a guy who does Elton John, and they're incredible. They look alike. They're sort of impersonators. And he approached me and I said, "Look, I'm not interested. I don't impersonate anybody." I said, "I don't even impersonate me. I'm me." I said, "If anybody books me, I go on as Jeff Duff. That's who I do." And he said, "Look, we don't care who you come on. We just want you to do it." And I said, "Well, as long as I can be me." So I've been doing this show called The British Invasion. And then he took me to Las Vegas, and I ended up doing a Bowie thing in Las Vegas last year. So, I'd have to be a fool to knock back a thing just because they think I look and sound like David Bowie. And, I don't try and look or sound like anybody. The fact that I maybe have the same vocal range as David Bowie is what gets me over the line there.
From David Bowie, now you're bringing forward your obsession for 60s vocalist Scott Walker from the lead vocalist of the Walker Brothers. What's that obsession all about?
Oh, well, he's been my hero for ever since, like even when I was having singing lessons, I was singing early Scott Walker songs because, like, he's very, very early 60s. Scott Walker and the Walker Brothers were bigger than the Beatles. Like in 63, they had a bigger fan club than the Beatles, and he's always been, you know, my hero. And this is the first time I've ever had the opportunity to sing his songs, though, and they're such beautiful songs. You know, he was heavily influenced by Jacques Brel, the Belgian singer-songwriter who died of alcoholic poisoning very, very young. We do quite a few of Scott Walker, Jacques Brel interpretations. Crossing over from Bowie to Scott Walker, it's an easy ride because Scott Walker was David Bowie's favourite vocalist as well. And the three of us have similar vocal range. David Bowie owes a lot to Scott Walker, not the other way around. I think David Bowie has borrowed quite a bit of Scott Walker's ideas.
Jeff Duff, thank you so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you and hearing you regardless of your stories. What an interesting life you've had. Thanks so much for your time, Jeff. All the very best. We'll see you at one gig or another very, very soon.